This Thursday and Friday preview edition of Pucks Across Borders on Sports Addict Live and Total Apex Sports, brought to you by the one and only First Round Collectibles. Right now with our promo code Sports Addict, get 10% off every card in the First Round Collectibles store. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off dozens and dozens of cards, and with our promo code Sports Addict, not only do you get 10% off of regular priced items, but sales items as well. Do the math. 20 becomes 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, 60. With our promo code Sports Addict, 10% off regular priced and sales priced items. Hockey, football, basketball, baseball, wrestling, boxing, they have it all. So go to firstroundcollectibles.com today and find your heroes. That's the number one, STRoundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beast back. Adrenaline pumping through my veins. Can't relax. Original. I am not the same as these cats. I sting them.
And welcome to this Thursday and Friday preview edition of Pucks Across Borders on Sports Addict Live and Total Apex Sports, brought to you by First Round Collectibles. I am Mark Sauter, and with me, as always, the bottom of your screen, you read his work about the NFL on Gridiron Heroics. John, how we feeling on a Thursday, bro?
Feeling pretty good. Doing a somewhat of an outdoor recording today, so need the hood. But it's getting cool this time of year in the play, at least for the playoff picture.
And right beside me at the top of your screen, you read his work about the NFL on Gridiron Heroics as well. You read his gambling picks on winners and whiners. You read his NHL and other sports analyses on TotalApexSports.com. And you see him all over Total Apex Sports, talking football, basketball, baseball. He talks about it all. Andre, what's up on a Thursday, man?
I'm just living my best life, ready to get going. Yesterday there was some great hockey, good basketball game, another unwatchable basketball game. Didn't go to the Yankees game and they won, so it was just all around a good time.
Yeah, the superstitions of fandoms it's tough. It's really tough. For example, my son wore his Leaf jersey during the Leafs win the other night, and he hasn't taken it off since. It's covered in jam and ketchup, and it's just is what it is, man. You just gotta roll with the vibe. All right, one game in the NHL tonight, 2 games in the NHL tomorrow. There will be no show tomorrow, so we're gonna get to all 3 games between now and tomorrow night today. But 2 games in the NHL last night. One team goes home, one team stays alive, and Dallas coming back down 2-0 against the defending champs. They push a game 6 up 3-2 in the series. We're going to talk about it all. Andre, let's start with you first, man. What was your big takeaway on the ice last night?
As much as I want to talk about how much we should believe in the Dallas Stars some more, I'm going to talk about 50-goal scorer Zach Hyman. He obviously, the Kings and the Oilers, same division. They face each other 4 times this year. Kings have a tremendous defense. He only scored 1 goal in those 4 regular season games. Then the playoffs roll around. Game 1, hat trick. Game 2, he scores a goal. Game 3, 2 goals. Doesn't have any in that 1-0 win, but almost everybody was kept off the score sheet in that one. And then last night, he has the game winner, the series winner for the Oilers. What a fantastic season for him. It's now extended into the playoffs. He hasn't had any reduction in his play. It's not shining from the lights. And he got his team on to the next round. The Kings fought, give them a bit of credit. Games, particularly games 2, 4, and 5, they were kind of sweaty for the Oilers. LA could have very easily forced OT, gotten the dub, whatever. I mean, they did win game 2 in OT, but you know what I mean? They weren't just runaway victories like games 1 and 3. So they needed every little bit they could get, and Zach Hyman delivered with 7 goals in 5 games. A goal in all 3 home games. Even added an assist in there in game 1. So he made it work. Kudos to the Oilers for advancing. Kudos to Zach Hyman for a great regular season and then keeping it going in the postseason. Hardworking player. He really deserves a ton of credit for what he's done this year. And thank God I don't have to worry about the Kings anymore.
It's done. It's over. You and me, Andre, we didn't think they'd even get this far, but they got this far. It's done now. Also, Connor McDavid with 11 assists in 5 games. Just keep on doing their thing. And listen, I do believe there's something to be said about the playoffs. We see this, especially in football where it's only 1 game, but we see this in basketball and hockey where you need unsung heroes to kind of step up and do their thing. But there's something to be said about your stars being your stars. And that was the case for the Oilers in this series. My question for you guys on this series, who do you think is a better matchup for the Oilers? Because the Canucks and the Preds face off in game 6 tomorrow, and those two are fighting for a chance to play against the Oilers. I know Canada wants Vancouver, so that a Canadian team is guaranteed in the Eastern Conference Finals. But that's an interesting conversation that we will have another day. But it's going to be fun, man, to see. And the league's better when the stars play longer, right? You want Connor McDavid around. You want Draisaitl around. And I gotta just say this about Zach Hyman. It's really funny on Twitter, like in Leafland, when every day someone posts a stat block of all the former Toronto Maple Leafs who are just killing it, who are just awesome. And it's oh, great. Yeah, that's what we need. Thank you. Thank you, guys. John, what do you got from the NHL last night?
Just a quick note to put a bow on Edmonton and the Kings. You guys don't have to talk about the Kings anymore, and my Western Conference champ stays alive, so everybody wins there. I think we all got the result we were looking for. Edmonton just need to win by 2 instead of 1. That's another segment.
The problem is, though, John, your Eastern Conference team is playing Andre's team.
Yeah, so I think we're going to differ.
I'm hoping for some hatred, for some rivalry, for some animosity. Anyway, go ahead, man.
Carolina's a long story, but I'll save that for another show. My takeaway from sticking to last night is I want to give a shout out to the other game, Dallas and Vegas. You guys have rightfully called it the best series in the first round, and I think the last few games in particular have really shown it during Dallas's fight back. I mean, we can go back to game 3 when Dallas, I think, was essentially playing for their lives. They had to win that game in Vegas. It was a tough task, but deep into overtime, they managed to get it. That really did start some momentum because now Dallas has won 3 straight. And the real important thing, someone finally won a home game. Dallas, how about them coming up with a big win last night? Their power play was spectacular yesterday. Shout out to the Stars there. And I think the one big thing I think the one big thing that was of note of last night was Ottinger once again being a hero. I think we're starting to see peak form of him again. Dallas has allowed very few goals during this winning streak of theirs. I think maybe 2 a game, if I remember this right. 2 last night and 2 in game 4 at the very least. So, but one big save I want to give a shout out to was late in the game, I believe less than 3 minutes to go. Vegas had like a breakaway developing there, and I forget who it was that attempted the goal there, but he made a very nice move to try to get on the left side of Ottinger, but Ottinger, to his credit, put his knee pad out and said not today. And I thought I don't want to say save his series because he's made a few spectacular ones, but definitely the save of the night that gave Dallas the win in regulation they needed to get a 3-2 lead to head back to Vegas. And I think we were saying this in the chat last night. That series seems like it's meant to go 7 if there's going to be anything that does. But I think Dallas is showing us what they're made of. I do think they're going to end up coming out on top in this series. It's just a matter of if they win in game 6 or game 7. I could see this going back to Dallas one more time. But I felt like if Ottinger plays like that Dallas could go deep, and they're going to need it if they get by Vegas. So shout out to Dallas, shout out to Ottinger. That's my takeaway.
If they win this series, then in my mind, in context, that is the save of the series, right? Because Vegas ties it up. No team has won at home yet in the series. Vegas ties it up. You never know what happens, right? So if Dallas wins, I think you can absolutely call that the save of the series. And to your point, John, like Ottinger allowed 7 goals in the first 3 games. Or first 2 games. I can't remember if that third goal in game 2 was an empty netter or not. But either way, there were 7 goals scored by Vegas in the first 2 games. Since then, 2 goals. He's got a 231 goals against average, 911 save percentage. And this Dallas team, man, they're so good. I have a question for you guys. Andre, you can answer this for me. I'm watching the ESPN broadcast when it comes to this game. All the Canadian teams, it's all Canadian broadcasts, but the ESPN broadcast for this series, the last couple games, PK Subban, who I think does an excellent job on ESPN, he made a questionable hammer joke a couple games ago that was kind of just breezed by and no one said anything about it. I was like, oh, all right. But anyway, he's been really hard on Vegas in this series, like really hard on them, saying that they're not playing with urgency. They don't deserve to win. Now Dallas has come back and gone up 3-2 in the series, so maybe he's on to something. I would probably take PK Subban's opinion over my own, considering he, was in the league for a long time. But I didn't necessarily see it that way. What do you think? Like, do you think Vegas has just been like awful the last 3 games?
Well, I don't think PK Subban has been doing a great job. It actually annoys me every time I've seen him on the screen.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it really has. But it's been, I think he's hard on him. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, he picked Vegas to win again this year. So I feel like that's why it might be harder on him.
Oh, yeah.
They were up 2-0. They're doing what the Rangers did last year, which is blowing that 2-0 lead, even though both those first wins are on the road. I don't think they're playing that bad. I think the Stars just got their back against the wall and played better. I think this Vegas is playing the same, and the Stars leveled up. That's
That's what I think too. Honestly, from what I've seen of Vegas, at least they don't look like a team that's playing bad, in my opinion. Because we can argue there's a few teams in the playoffs that have come out flat. I mean, the Kings. I could argue the Islanders pretty much came out flat in the postseason. Even Tampa Bay. I don't want to put Tampa Bay in there. They didn't play that bad. But like the Kings and the Islanders, at least weren't playing great in the playoffs. The Capitals. I mean, feel free to argue against me on that one, Andre. But I feel like the Capitals didn't really show up in the postseason. I wouldn't put Vegas in that category. I agree with Andre. I think Dallas is just finding another gear and showing us the talent they have. And I think Ottinger's stepping up too, like I said before. I just think it's more of a team effort on Dallas's part. Vegas, I think, is giving them a lot to handle for, and I think they're playing the best of any of the wild card teams for sure.
Well, and I it's not that I necessarily agree with what PK is saying, but just to push back on you for a sec, John, Vegas is not Washington or Islanders or Kings, right? Like Vegas, like they're the defending Stanley Cup champs. Like
that's fair. It's probably higher expectations still.
Yeah, all three of those teams shouldn't even be here. Like, you know what I mean? So it's a little bit different, but I do see what you mean. I also think, you know, more to your point, to expand on it, I also think that there are Stanley Cup contenders that are going to go home in this first round. Like Vegas playing Dallas. I know that the Jets, we can talk about the Jets, but they were legitimate cup contenders. Like I picked them to win the Stanley Cup, and they got spanked in that first round. So, you know, it's just kind of the nature of the beast, especially in the West. Like the Oilers probably got the easiest kind of road to the second round. Not that it's easy, but you know what I mean? Like they probably drew the long straw. I don't know.
They had the best first round matchup, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Awesome. All right, let's move on. We got 3 games, 1 tonight, 2 tomorrow. This is what we're going to do. If you're watching this show on Friday, we're going to hit tomorrow night's games first, just so that you don't have to hear us talk about a game that's already happened. So we're going to hit tomorrow night's games first, and then we'll finish off the show with tonight's matchup. Toronto tries to stay alive against the Bruins. So we'll hit that show at the end again. So if you're watching this show on Friday, you don't have to listen to us predict a game that already happened. So first game tomorrow night, Vancouver is in Nashville. Game 6. Pull this up. Vancouver up 3-1 in the series. Nashville getting a much-deserved win the other night to push the game, to push the series to Game 6. Vancouver plus 110 on the money line. It'll be interesting to see how that shifts by tomorrow. Nashville's minus 130 on their money line. The over is 5.5 at minus 105. The under is minus 115. Plus 1.5 for the Canucks is minus 230. Minus 1.5 for the Predators is plus 190. John, what do you see in this game tomorrow night?
First of all, I think Nashville got a huge win in Game 5. And I'll just say I didn't get a chance to touch on this yesterday, but I swear the sports books know. They just know. Like Nashville had near even money when we were doing the show the other day, and they came up with a regulation win on the road. So shout out to them. I'm going to take them again here. I think this is going to Game 7. I really do. I think Nashville has some fight in them. I think they were due to get a good goaltending performance, which they finally did in Game 5. I think the first few games have been a bit rough on them. Vancouver, their goaltending situation slightly concerns me, only because, like, with Demko out, it's been a bit of a carousel. And don't get me wrong, they've gotten great goaltending play throughout this series. I think my question is, how long can it can this keep up before like the straw breaks the camel's back? You know what I mean? I think I'm expecting them to have whoever starts tomorrow for Vancouver to have a bad night at some point, or just to let up a few more goals than they've been allowing. So I don't know. I'm not saying Nashville's going to win this series and come all the way back. I just have a feeling they're not quite done yet. So I'm going to take the Predators tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I'm taking Nashville too. I just think that like the amount of shots that Vancouver is getting, like they're just not taking advantage of the talent disparity. Like there's no doubt Nashville, we've been calling them the cockroaches of the league for like a decade. This is what they've just always done. This is just their DNA. They grind and claw and find ways to stay alive, find ways to win. And there's no doubt, like, we got the most likely Norris winner in Quinn Hughes on one side, the runner-up in Roman Josi, or at least, second runner-up on the other side. You got Philip Forsberg. Like, I'm not saying that Nashville has nobody, but Vancouver is just a more talented team. And where is EP40, man? Like, I would have to assume that he's like dealing with something. He's injured or something because he is a ghost out there. And I just, the goaltending's held up. The goaltending's been fine, but they haven't been able to take advantage of it. And if they're starting their third stringer again, I just feel like eventually that's going to bite you. Like eventually, he's played very good. Shilvos or something, I can't remember exactly. It's like pronounced weird, like Shilvos or something. Shilos or something like that. Anyway, he's played really, really well. And Casey Smith did earlier in the series as well. But when you got your second, third stringer in there, as a team, you have to step up your game. And they just haven't been able to. So I'm taking Nashville too. I'm taking Nashville as well, minus 130. And I don't know if it's up yet. Let's find out together, shall we? I don't see it, but I will take a Philip Forsberg goal prop when it pops up. I just expect their big boys to step up tomorrow. So give me a Philip Forsberg goal when the prop is available, and give me Nashville on the money line. Andre, what about you?
This series hinges on special teams. Actually, I think we're going to talk about special teams a lot today. But Nashville, their PK has stepped up. They're avoiding the penalty box. One, they only allowed two power play chances in game 1, 2 in game 4, 2 in game 5, 3 in game 3. So they've been doing a good job of staying out of the box. And then they're at 84.6%, way better than what they were during the regular season. At home, they were 80.3% on the PK this year. So, that should handle itself tonight. I trust that. The issue is that Nashville is 10.5% on the power play in this series. And they were a 25% power play unit at home this season. So in a series where scoring's been kind of inconsistent for both teams, where, you'll see them get 4 goals, then 1, then 3, then 2, then, just up and down, being able to score a man up is huge. And I think their power play needs to come up big tonight. I think it will. There's no way they go home. I'm also going to take the Predators to win. I'm going to take that 60-minute line. And I think I'm going to take the under because it just seems like one of these teams, every time they play, is not scoring for whatever reason.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I think, 4-3 overtime win on the weekend, but I mean 2-1, 2-1, 4-1. It's been a really, really, really tight series in that regard. The first two games of the series, there was a puck line involved, but the last three games, man, have been super tight. And oh man, the empty net that could have been that hit post, man. What that just flipped the series on its head. I don't really care who wins. I really like Vancouver. I have all year. I like them less now than I did earlier in the season. But from an entertainment perspective, I do hope that the Canucks win. I just think Edmonton, Vancouver would be such a fun series. But we will see what happens. All right. The nightcap tomorrow night, Dallas, -110. Vegas, -110. Finally, the odds makers put the odds as close as they should be. Although Dallas did win last night, so I guess the -162 or whatever it was justified. But -110 on both sides for tomorrow night's game. The over is 5.5 at -120. The under is +100. -1.5 for the Stars is +220. +1.5 for the Golden Knights is -270. Andre, what do you see in this game tomorrow night? Or tonight, depending when you're watching this.
Well, first and foremost, unlike Wednesday, I believe that these teams will get the final push to go over the total. I mean, 5 goals through 2 periods, 4 goals in the first period, 5 goals through 2, and then you don't score it all in the third. Dallas missed empty net about 3 times. Odger stoned to break away. Come on, give me the over, people. Just needed one more. Over 5.5, locking that in first and foremost. Secondly, I want the Stars to win. I feel like they're playing better, but we're getting 7, right? Vegas isn't going home that easy. They're -110 at home. Even though they've lost 3 straight, they haven't played poorly in any of those 3 games. They were all tight games. Give me Vegas keeping their season alive. We're getting Game 7 in Dallas on Sunday.
I hope that you're right. I do. I would love to see a Game 7. One of these series has to go to 7 games. Oh my goodness. I don't think it does though. I think Dallas just, you can make the argument that there's no momentum in the playoffs. It changes every game and all that stuff. But I just feel like you're up in the series 2-0 and a week later you're on the ropes. I think Dallas has just full control of the series, and I think that they have found the formula to get the job done. First and foremost, Ottinger has to be up. Ottinger, they just do, or like he just does. I also think with the Stars, I know that Vegas has, a crazy offensive roster and defensive for that matter too. But the Stars, just like every line is just, you got Johnston on this line, you have, Pavelski on this line, Ben and Sagan are still productive players, and they're on your bottom 2 lines. Like, I just watched this Dallas team, and offensively, they have playmakers literally all over their roster. I think Dallas finds a way to end this series tomorrow. The other part of it, and I don't know how much of a factor this actually plays, but I think Dallas knows that if they don't win tomorrow, it's a risky proposition. Like, I feel like if Vegas wins tomorrow, I don't know. I just feel like you cannot keep this team alive. You got to end this now, as soon as you can. And that's why I think Dallas wins -110 on the money line. I suggest taking whatever team you think now, because these odds will dramatically will look different by puck drop, and I don't know in what direction. So we'll see what happens. Last thing on this game, I'm not touching this total with a 10-foot pole, man. I don't. The total has burn me, I feel like, every single game with these two teams, and I'm not touching it. So I'm staying out of the total game, but I will take Dallas minus 110 on that money line. John, what about you?
I've been back and forth about this one. There's no doubt Dallas has all the momentum right now, having won the last 3 games in the series and finally winning a home game. Logic would dictate that they're meant to win Game 6 and wrap this up. And I agree with you, Mark. You shouldn't give the defending Stanley Cup champions an inch when you have the chance to close them out, especially when you have a chance to get some redemption after the Western Conference Finals last year. With all that said, I'm kind of agreeing with Andre in that I think this series is meant to go 7. I said in my takeaway, I think Dallas will win this series. It's just a matter of when. But I feel like Vegas has one last push in it. Andre, I think we made this comparison like early in the week. I don't exactly remember when it was, but you told me a while back after Game 2 or Game 3 that this was giving you Rangers Devils vibes from last year, and I'm really starting to see it, especially with what happened with Dallas the other night. If that's the case, then I think Vegas is meant to win one more game, especially as the defending Stanley Cup champs. I don't think they're going to go out quietly on their home ice. So I think this is going to, and this is, I think, objectively also been the best series in the first round, as we all said before. So if there's any series meant to go 7, I think it's this one. Vegas, I don't think is a team that will go out very quietly, and I do question if Ottinger can put up another 2-goal performance. Like this has happened the last 3 games. Does Vegas break out on their home ice one last time? So I'm leaning Vegas slightly, but that's probably not going to end up being my best bet. But that's the way I'm leaning. I think my final predict. I think as of now, I'm leaning towards Dallas in 7, but I think Vegas extends it one last time.
Yeah, so 2 long shot bets that I really like, and play them if you feel so inclined. Minus half a goal in the first period for Dallas is plus 190. And no matter the outcome of the game tomorrow, I think you could make the argument for both teams doing this. But I do feel like Dallas is going to come out with some urgency tomorrow, just wanting to put this game away early. And I can see, we saw 4 goals in the first period yesterday, right? And then there was one more for the rest of the game. I can see Dallas closing out the first period up 2-1. Right? Like that doesn't seem so far-fetched to me. So plus 190 for minus half a goal. The other one is plus 310 for a draw. Would any of us be surprised if this thing was going into overtime at like 1 a.m. tomorrow? I would not be. So that's another one that I like. All right. If you're watching on Friday, those are our Friday games. You already know the end result of tonight's game. And I'm jealous because this game is driving me insane. The Toronto Maple Leafs, they are alive. They're playing Game 6 tonight at home, which I think is like not like, I just wish that they could just stay on the road for the rest of the series based on how it's gone. But they are minus 112 at home tonight. Boston's minus 108. The interesting thing about this is last night when I was going to bed, this was on FanDuel. I don't know about DraftKings, but on FanDuel, Boston was plus money. And now here we are. They are minus money on FanDuel as well, but here they are at minus 108. So some Boston money coming in already. The over is 5.5 at minus 118. The under is minus 102. Minus 1.5 for Toronto is plus 230. Plus 1.5 for the Bruins is minus 285. All right, so I'll go first on this one. This is my kind of thought process going into this game. I do think home, it's hard for the Leafs to play at home. I just do. I just feel like the pressure of being at home, the pressure that they are facing here in this city. If you guys remember, I don't know if you would remember, but last year there was I think it was for the Tampa series, or was it for the Florida series? I can't remember, but there was a point in time in the playoffs last year where when they were at home, they stayed in a hotel to keep the road vibes going. That was a thing that happened for Toronto last year. So I do think this team much rather plays on the road. I can't remember the exact statistics, but historically, this is the 8th playoff year of the Matthews, Marner, Nylander era, and historically they're above 60% on the road as far as winning goes, where at home they're well below 50%. So I think that's a huge concern going into this game tonight. That being said, if you guys watched the game the other day, Boston, they look like they're fighting their round one demons from last year. They looked disjointed. They looked unorganized. Boston, as much as I kind of rag on them for not being that great of a hockey team, they are very systematic and very disciplined in the way that they move the puck, the way that they act in their defensive zone and offensive zone. That last game, they should have lost that game like 5-1. I thought Toronto absolutely dominated them in that game. So for me, that just looked like a team that was scared to lose. Now, does that change because they're on the road? I don't know. I honestly could go either way with this game tonight. As a fan, I have no idea. I don't have any expectations. I'm just cheering along for my guys. I have no, you know what I mean? Like, I have no, like, we're going to win tonight. I don't know. I'm just leaving all my expectations at the door. And I'm just going to cheer on my guys to get the job done. I will say this. This was one of those series out of any series in the East. The rest of them kind of happened the way people thought they would. We all predicted Tampa to win that series. But when you watch how Tampa, Florida unfolded, you can understand why it went in 5 games. Like, the Panthers are just beasts, right? But this is the one series in the East that we all felt for sure was going to go 7 games. And here we are. The Leafs have an opportunity. The reason why I am going to pick Toronto minus 112 at home tonight, they were so bad at home on Saturday, and they were so good on the road on Tuesday. I just think Toronto finds a way to redeem themselves from Saturday's sins and bounce back with a big win tonight. The other side of this, Joseph Woll in net, man, he was a beast the other night. I think he gives them a great change of pace. I think Toronto wins this game. And I think you and I think we're all hanging out Saturday talking about a game 7, 8 p.m. Saturday night. And the last thing that I'll just add here, you guys know the drill. It's the whole one game at a time mentality, right? It's hard to beat Boston 3 times in a row. Yes. But when you get to game 7, all of that's gone. Now there's just one game. Anything can happen in one game. So we'll see what happens. But it might all be for naught because Toronto might get pumped tonight. Who knows? But I'm going to pick Toronto minus 112. I'm not touching an under. I'm not touching a prop. I'm just picking a Leafs win, sitting back, and hopefully enjoying the ride. John, what do you got for me? You really pissed me off with your prediction last time, so let's see what you got for me today.
Well, Well, I'll tell you, I'm not nearly as confident in picking tonight as I was last time. So I don't know if that's good or bad for you. Um, Before I go, I'll say shout out to our comments section there, Charles. I'm a little jealous of the Nassau weather update over there. It seems like it's a little nicer than here right now.
Yeah, he loves rubbing that in, eh? He loves it. Our guy Chuck.
It seems like it because it's definitely not the first time.
Love
But
it. Love it.
we appreciate the support, man.
Absolutely.
Well, getting back to a place that's a lot colder, in Toronto. Uh, like I said, I'm not. I think this is the hardest game on the slate for me to pick from tonight and tomorrow because Toronto made me doubt all of my logic after Game 5 because I definitely had my skepticism after Game 4. One thing I'm going to be keeping a big eye on because at the time I don't really know what's going on here. Austin Matthews. I read that he did skate yesterday, but I don't think they've done their morning skate yet. Beliefs for tonight's game, so that's one big update. I think a lot of people are going to be waiting on. But if he was skating around yesterday, I have to think that's somewhat of a good sign that he's even back on the ice at all in the first place. I would say unless his limbs are coming out of his body, he's probably going to play tonight, right? I mean, I know nobody really knows from what I understand, but I'm just going to assume he's going to play even if he's not 100%.
Yeah, I mean, Austin Matthews skated yesterday longer than he skated before the game on Tuesday. We still don't really know what's going on, man. Like,
Yeah,
he's not just sick. Everybody
seems to be
knows
up in the
that.
air.
Yeah, everybody knows that by now. I don't. It's not that it doesn't matter because he is the best goal scorer in the world. However, they historically play really good in short stretches without him because they know they can't rely on him. And everybody steps up and plays a much better game. It's super weird. It's like this, like our hero's not here to save us, so we're going to all ball out. Like Max Domi was on the first line and was a stud. Like, I don't know. It blows my mind.
Toronto might just be one of those teams that operates better without a safety net. I don't know. That's an interesting theory because I was really you're making me doubt this too because I was skeptical Toronto could win another big playoff game without Matthews at all. But I'm thinking to myself, even if Matthews comes back, he might just be like a decoy on the ice tonight because I can't believe he's 100% with whatever's going on with him. So maybe he'll just be a decoy and they'll distribute the puck to other players around him and fade Boston out. I don't know. Again, I'm like 51-49 on this. This is a very difficult game for me to pick, but I think part of this is Boston is facing some demons, at least with some of the veterans, with Marchand and stuff. They have to remember last year all too well. Blowing a 3-1 series lead when they were the President's Trophy winners. I'm having a very hard time believing Boston blows another 3-1 series for the second year in a row. I'm picking them. Barely. I think Matthews is a big reason why. I don't think Toronto can win this series without him. Even if what you said is... I believe what you said is true, that they probably do play well in short stretches, but I mean, this is a big playoff series against a talented team, so I don't know if that's going to hold up here or not. I think very hesitantly I'm going to pick Boston.
Listen, they don't have to win the series. They just have to win tonight. That's it.
That's
tonight,
true.
the one game at a time. Andre, what do you got, man?
Yeah, I said earlier in Thursday's show about Friday's games that special teams is going to be an important theme, and it is. That's why the series is 3-2 in Boston's favor. The Bruins are 42.9% on the power play. The Maple Leafs are 5.9% on the
great
power
point.
play. That right there is the difference in a couple of games that could have gone the other way. So that's first and foremost. I think the Leafs get a power play goal or two in this one. Because if they don't, their season's probably over. Second point, they've lost, 6 games in a row at home in the playoffs. I think 8 of their last 9. That's not going to continue forever. That's just a statistical anomaly, you would think. So you have to get that off your back. And then, Mark, I think I've told you, it was probably off air, I think they need this 3-1 comeback to really get rid of the demons, just let it all go. So they got that chance, regardless of how your heart and your cardiologist feel about it. So to make that 3-1 comeback a reality, they have to win game 6. They already won the game 5 part, and they're at home. I think they snap the losing streak. I think they get some power play goals. I think they force a game 7 in Beantown. So give me the Leafs minus 112.
My guy. When John stabs me in the back, I can always count on you, Andre. I will say, so there's a former hockey player, really good player in his day, Jeff O'Neill. He does the afternoon show on TSN here in Toronto. He, like when you were talking about Austin Matthews, I was looking on Twitter to see if there's any updates on the morning skate or whatever. He's starting a hashtag keep him away, and he's basically campaigning like have him practice in like a community rink like 45 minutes away where no one knows where he is, because like every time he goes on the ice and off the ice, the Toronto media circus just goes nuts. And so he's just like, just put him on some practice rink in like Niagara Falls and just get him back to the game in time for game time if he's playing or whatever. But yeah, that was an excellent point, by the way, about the special teams. Like, this is the thing about that game the other night is they won, but their past issues were still there. They couldn't score on the power play, and they couldn't score. So, like, both those issues are still there, and we'll see Matthews in, Matthews out. We'll see what happens. All right, let's wrap up the show, as always, with our best bets brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Right now, with our promo code SportsAddict, get 10% off every card in the store on sale or regular priced items. They have sales up to 50% off dozens and dozens and dozens of cards with our promo code SportsAddict. Not only do you get 10% off of regular priced, but the sales items as well. Up to 50% off. With our promo code, you're getting up to 60% off. So go to firstroundcollectibles.com today. Jump on this great deal from our guys at firstroundcollectibles.com. That's the number one, STRoundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans. I also have to text the owner of First Round Collectibles because we were supposed to go out for lunch last Saturday, and I just completely forgot, and I haven't heard from him. So he might be mad at me. So Chris, if you're watching, I love you, and I will. I'll reach out to you today, man. I'm sorry. That just popped into my head. I completely forgot. I was supposed to meet him last week. All right. Best bets. Here we go. We got 1 game on Thursday, 2 games on Friday. John, what do you got as your best bet, bro?
I'm going to go back to the first game we talked about on this podcast. If you're watching tomorrow, it's a game happening tonight. I know that's a little confusing to follow. Anyway, I'm gonna go with the Nashville Predators here. I have a strong feeling that series is going 7. Like I said before, I think the Vancouver goalie carousel is due to have a crack. They've been playing. Every goalie of theirs has been playing pretty well. I just think Nashville in front of their home crowd in an elimination game, I think they're due to have a big night to at least extend the series 1 more game. So give me the Nashville Predators money line.
Andre, what about you, bro? What do you got?
I'm going to go with the under in Bruins Leafs. Just offense for both sides has been a struggle. And in a tight game, elimination game, I just don't really see much changing. You just look at the scores from this one, and I mean, you know, with your boys, obviously 2 goals or 1 goal in 4 of the 5 games. The Bruins haven't done much either. They scored 3 in was that game 4? They scored 1 in game 5. They scored 2 in game 2. They've had a bunch of duds as well. We've talked about this a lot too. Not really that confident in them. So I'm going to take the under 5.5 in that one. It's -102, nearing plus money. I think it's a pretty good bet, especially coming off the under in game 5.
I think that's the frustrating part about all of this, Andre. Like, if the Leafs do lose tonight and they lose this series, or even if they win tonight and lose Saturday, like, Boston hasn't been that great. Like, they haven't blown me away. It's like, this just feels like a really badly missed opportunity if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs. But anyway, we'll talk about that if we need to. Yeah, I don't really know where to go with this game or with this series tonight. What I will, or with these picks tonight and tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, I said I was going to stay away from props from Boston, Toronto, but I think we're going to have a little same game parlay tonight. And tomorrow, maybe we'll throw out a couple bets for a bigger best bet, since John picked a game from tomorrow night. Listen, William Nylander, he's back. He's looked okay. I think tonight it's his 3rd game back. I think he hits full stride tonight. Over 3.5 shots for William Nylander is -115, especially if Matthews is not playing. He has to have the game of his life tonight. He's been back for 2 games. This will be his 3rd. I think he gets back into full form and gets over 3.5 shots tonight at -115.
And it's in there. So tonight's games, we have Bruins at Maple Leafs under 5.5 total goals, parlayed with William Nylander over 3.5 shots on goal. That's plus 300 as an SGP. You can add the Nashville Predators money line tomorrow night. That's -130. That's a plus 607 parlay.
Absolutely love it. Everybody, thank you so much, as always, for watching or listening. However you're taking in this show, we appreciate you, whether you're watching live on a Thursday, later in the day on a Thursday, or whether you're watching tomorrow. Either way, it doesn't matter to us. We appreciate you. Thank you to Total Apex Sports for having us on board. Go over to all their socials today for lots of great sports content. Go to totalapexsports.com for in-depth analysis of all of these playoff series. 10% collectible, 10% off promo code Sports Addict. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you later.